Today we're going to read Hats Off to the President, a White House Mystery. We're only going to read Chapter 1, and if you look at the table of contents, you can see Chapter 1's title is, What's Cooking? Daisy peered out the window at the motor car in the driveway. A man was standing by the hood. He was turning a crank to start the car. This must have been a while ago. It was 1905. It was a while ago, and automobiles were still a sight to be seen. This one especially. It was a convertible and very fancy looking. Daisy watched as the crank turned and the car thundered to life. She turned away from the window and headed down the hallway to the kitchen. She was so happy it was Sunday. Every Sunday she got to visit her mother at work. Her mother was a cook, but she was no ordinary cook. She worked at the White House. And the convertible in the driveway was no ordinary car either. It was part of the Theodore Roosevelt's presidential motorcade. Whoa, what a mouthful. No ordinary cook, no ordinary car. They must have been special, being that she worked at the White House. And the car was part of Theodore Roosevelt's motorcade. He was president. Daisy swung open the door to the White House kitchen, a large room with lots of pots and pans dangling from racks attached to the ceiling. "Hi, Mama," Daisy said. "What's cooking?" "Turtle soup," Daisy's mother said with a mischievous smile. The president's favorite. "Want a taste?" She dipped a wooden spoon in the pot and extended it to Daisy. "Yuck," Daisy said. Daisy's mother laughed. "We're lucky the president doesn't feel the same way," she joked. "We were just about to send it up." Turtle soup. I don't know if I'd like turtle soup. "Can I push the button?" Daisy asked. She tugged at her mother's skirt and pointed to the electric dumbwaiter in the kitchen. Electric dumbwaiter. They pushed the button and waited for the electric dumbwaiter in the kitchen. Do y'all think that's an elevator? I've never heard that term before, but that's what it sounds like. It was a new invention. It could carry food and dishes between the floors of the White House, and it was fully automated. Daisy liked to push the button and send the cart up when her mother asked her to. "1 second, sweetie," Daisy's mother said. "Okay, go ahead and push it." Daisy pushed the button and the electric machine whirred into action. She held the button down until a bell rang, letting her know the cart had reached the floor above. Daisy released the button and turned around. She bumped into Pierre, the confectionery chef. He was in charge of sweets, pastries, baked goods, and all kinds of desserts. Daisy's mother and Pierre were always getting on each other's nerves. He was from France, and he thought very highly of his cooking. He believed that he should be in charge of anything that left the White House kitchen. "If this were my kitchen," Pierre said, "there would be no children allowed." "But it isn't your kitchen," Daisy's mother said, "and thank goodness for that." "I will never know why the president prefers your cooking to mine," Pierre said. "It's absurd." I wonder what absurd means. I think it's kind of obvious they don't like each other, and they may be competing, so maybe absurd means that he thinks her cooking is not good. "It's not just the president," Daisy's mother teased. "The Prime Minister of France thinks my cooking is delicious. He said so himself, just about a month ago." Daisy beamed with pride. It made her happy to think that leaders from all around the world had tasted her mother's cooking. "An outrage if it's true," Pierre scoffed. "I'm certain he was merely being polite." "He didn't care too much for your pastries either," Daisy's mother said. "If I remember correctly, he didn't even touch them." "His appetite was no doubt ruined by your tasteless cooking," Pierre said. "Now, if you will excuse me, I have some chocolate eclairs to prepare, a special request from the president himself." Pierre spun around the table and bumped into Daisy again. "I cannot work like this," she cried. "The kitchen is no place for children. Why don't you run along?" Daisy looked to her mother for a second opinion, but her mother rolled her eyes and said, "Stay out of trouble now." "Okay, Mama," Daisy said. She was happy to get a chance to explore. The White House was a big and exciting place with many large, ornate rooms to poke around in, and there were lots of interesting things to look at. I wonder what ornate means. Ornate rooms to poke around in with interesting things. They must be like fancy rooms. Daisy let the kitchen door swing closed behind her as she headed upstairs. It was quiet upstairs, away from the clamor of pots and pans, but Daisy could hear the faint laughter of children echoing around the bin. She followed the sounds into the area of the White House where the president and his 6 young children lived. The walls were freshly plastered and painted, and the floors were spotless and polished. Daisy followed the sound of laughter until she found Quentin. Quentin was the president's youngest son. He was 8 years old, about the same age as Daisy. He was dressed like a cowboy and surrounded by his friends. Quentin and his friends were well known around the White House. Everyone called them the White House Gang. They had a reputation for causing trouble, and now they looked as if they were up to something. Daisy was curious to find out what it was. Okay, my friends, so we're going to prepare now to write for our reading response journal. And when we're writing about fiction reading, there's some questions that we can kind of think about in order to know what we want to write about. So I want you to think about this story. Chapter 1, we haven't read the whole book. Did it make you laugh, cry, cringe, smile, cheer? If it did, talk about that, but make sure you provide evidence from the text. What connections are there between this book and another book you've read? Do you like the ending of this chapter? Did it leave you wondering what's coming next? Do you think there's more to tell? Well, we know there is because there's another chapter. What parts of this chapter seem most believable or unbelievable? How are you or people you know like some of the characters so far in the story? Remember, whatever you choose to write about with either me or Miss Corbin, we're going to make sure we use text evidence to support our thinking in our reading response journal.